NDSU's campus. Like, we are obsessed with coffee.
All right, here we go. We're live. We're
Oh,
going. This is the New School
shit.
Canes, and today we're being hosted on the great and only Miami Hurricanes talk show. Paul here and got Wholesome One running around doing his thing. Too busy for us.
Oh!
He just got to be putting
Woo.
in them lists. He's at that gym grinding, putting us to shame. He's got that life. And Paul
Oh,
has
that's easy.
got the topic to start us off with today. So I'm going to shut up now, and Paul, you do your thing.
So something I wanted to talk about and look forward to what you guys have to say and the chat has to say. Every time there's a new head coach, there's always momentum. With Randy Shannon, it was recruiting all the local kids, locking down South Florida. We had the number one recruiting class going into his second year. A lot of local kids were buying into what he was saying. Without Golden, it wasn't as much momentum, but it was an outside guy. It was something new, different. It was a different perspective coming to Miami. I never really bought into Al Golden personally. I always thought he was a fluke since day one, but that's just my take. With Mark Richt, it was a coach who had winning experience. He went toe-to-toe with Nick Saban and lost by a touchdown in the SEC championship, but he had a great resume, and he had a lot of great players that went on to play in the NFL. But none of them have created the national title we've all been waiting for at Miami. And Coach Manny Diaz said this is the new Miami. So how do we know this is TNM, guys? How do we know Coach Manny Diaz will back up his talk? I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Give me some reasons why you're drinking the Kool-Aid on Coach Manny Diaz.
All right. Wholesome, you want me or you go first?
You can go ahead. I don't mind doing the anchor job.
All right. All right. And we will be watching the chat, y'all. So if y'all put in your thoughts in the chat, we're definitely going to be addressing it. This is going to be an engaging convo here for sure. So we want to hear you guys' thoughts, what you have to say, what you disagree with as well. So why am I drinking the Manny Diaz Kool-Aid? It's not just talking hype. I'm seeing action. Now, I don't see on the field action, but I am seeing off the field action. Action off the field that I have not heard or seen of in a long time. And it starts with what we don't stop talking about, the strength and conditioning coach. This strength and conditioning coach in this program, it's different. He's a different kind of monster. And the guys are putting in a different kind of effort. And the way that they're going about it, too, is different. It's not like, all right, on my list, got to work out, check mark, we good. It has become a competition. There's a board at the end of the week of who won under the position breakdowns, weights, and all of that breakdowns. And they're putting the chart up in front of the whole team. It is a competition, and they're not afraid to shout people out that aren't doing it. So Diaz, I think he set a high standard. I think he's done already action that's going to materialize off the field or from off the field to on the field that's different. And he's embraced the Miami attitude. That's the biggest one to me. Every other coach that I have seen in the past, he had his mentality he thought was going to be implemented into Miami that needed to be done. Diaz is implementing Miami attitude into Miami to bring it back. And that's what I think the difference is. He's embracing the culture instead of creating his own. Because he knows that culture won us 5 rings. And there's no difference that needs to be done there to get those 5 rings again. And that's my difference at the end of the day why I'm drinking the Manny Diaz Kool-Aid.
Okay. Wholesome one?
Hmm. I share the same hunger and desire that everyone on this phone and everyone in the group chat and everyone who watches this after does to see Miami on top. It's sickening to see non-football schools like Clemson come and surpass us in national relevance. A team that it's a small school. They're not even known for much at all. And now they're arguably
He's not wrong.
Howard's Rock.
like we can literally, that's it. and the nickname Death Valley because they also do have a great home field advantage. But to see a school like that in our conference come and uproot our in-state rival, surpass us, and get to the point where now they can beat them year in and year out, and we're still scrambling for scraps since '09. It's really hurtful to talk about and sickening to watch. So every year, like you say, we get this new excitement, and we always feel like we're the off-season warriors in my mind. Twitter gets blown up. Kane's Twitter is on a whole nother level. Like fan bases and recruits love or hate Kane's Twitter. They talk about it year in and year out. But at the end of the day, we are nothing if our head man is not surrounded with a team that is willing to give him every single thing to win football games year in and year out. Okay, all the names that you brought up, Paul, there was a deficiency, there was an issue that they had to deal with. That honestly, Manny Diaz, he's so intellectual. He learned. You can't tell me that he hasn't sat and watched Randy Shannon's regime here. You can't tell me that he hadn't sat and watched Golden's regime here and see why their tenure here at the University of Miami didn't succeed. He's a guy who went in and he saw his defense go from 75 to top 20s and still said, to hell with that, it's still not good enough. He went in and changed it all around. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because I trust in his process, in his thinking process. And anyone that knows me knows I was go get the elite coach. I don't care what anyone says. At that time of available coaches, Mario Cristobal was the guy you called.
Yes. Yes.
He was the elite coach. He's the coach that went to FIU, an in-state, in their city rivalry, if you would, and built that to a back-to-back 10-win institution with a top 3-round draft pick like T.Y. Hilton, who's in the NFL a decade later. Things like that don't happen if a coach isn't able to find kids to buy into him. So I think that Mario Cristobal would have been the elite hire if we want to if we want to jump into the national conversation again in 2019. But now when you really sit and think about it, Manny Diaz has surrounded himself. The offense was the one thing we all had the argument about. He went out and got a great hire. He's done the right things, and I don't want to go on too much longer because of time. Respect everyone's time, but he's done the right things to make me grab the Kool-Aid off the top shelf instead of grabbing the coffee right in front of me of Mario Cristobal, put it back down and grab the Kool-Aid of Manny Diaz. And at the end of the day, dog, we have no choice.
You see, I'm still not too sold on Mario Cristobal as a coach. I think as a recruiter, he's outstanding. Not to go away from the T&M subject, but you did bring up Mario Cristobal. What I saw something that Mario Cristobal did that Coach Manny Diaz still really hasn't done. He got Justin Herbert to come back for his senior year when Justin Herbert didn't have to come back at all.
Period.
Coach Manny Diaz has not been able to get his defensive players to come back for that senior year.
What about the trio of linebackers? They've come back for their senior year.
Kendrick Norton, RJ McIntosh, Joe Jackson.
Chad Thomas came back.
Yeah, Chad Thomas. But
Daquan Johnson, Sheldon Red Wine.
I see what you're saying. Michael Jackson as well.
Michael Jackson. You're making my argument for me.
Right.
Here's my thing against Cristobal. I'm with you. He's a recruiter, and he like the Herbert thing. Huge that he kept them. I think Diaz has done that. Diaz just hasn't been head coach at any like lower level school Cristobal has. Here's my argument against Cristobal. I get what y'all are saying, and like, well, what year was it exactly that we hired Rick? 2013?
2016. 2015 going into 16.
2015, okay, is when we started that transition.
It was December 14th of 15, and his first full interaction with the team was January 2nd of 2016.
So, we had the choice of Mario Cristobal or Rick. Now, we saw, now looking at it, we have Rick what he did, and we had our 7-6 season, then we had a 10-win season, and then another 7-6. Well, excuse me, 8-5, I think it was. Anyways,
Right.
about there, below 10-1 season, 10-1 season, below like absolutely abysmal thing. But what he brought to us was an indoor practice facility. I do not believe Cristobal could have done it like he did as quickly. I don't think so. I think Rick did that. I think that's a Rick thing. I think he had that at Georgia and he did that. Cristobal did not, and that's why I think Rick, like, that's Rick's edge over them. Recruiting wise, I think Cristobal would have probably out recruited Rick. Not much of an argument there. Now, record wise though, have y'all looked at Cristobal's record at FIU?
Are you seriously gonna talk about a record?
So okay,
like
now
FIU
you're right. You're totally right. Right.
Come on.
No, go for it. I get you. But then you go on and say, okay, great. So then he went to Alabama, was great mentorship there, got that, and got the Oregon job instead of what would have been Miami. At Oregon, though, let's think about this. His first year, everyone's really hyped about and loved it.
Right.
It is his first year, so it's a very successful first year. They went 9-4. Now, we at Miami, we're already talking about if Diaz doesn't get 10 wins, we're not happy. Why would we be happy with Cristobal 9-4, but we're not happy with Diaz getting less than 10 wins? I'm just
the Pac-12 versus the ACC.
Okay. Pac-12. That's a fair argument.
If we had to go into Arizona State blackout, if we had to go into Stanford, you think we win those games too?
No.
All right then. If we had to play in
the competition is higher,
Stadium,
but look at the losses. Look at who they lost to. Look at their losses and how they lost to them. They lost to Arizona. Bad.
Rich
well,
Rodriguez.
if you know anything about the Arizona and Oregon rivalry, which I like the Pac-12 at night. I'm one of those weird guys that really likes to stay up and watch those like late night games. But at the same time, like Pac-12 football is played a little different. You could not tell me, Anton, that if he brings that Oregon offense to South Florida, there is not a recruit in this region that wouldn't drop their draws to have Miami Hurricane off. Are you crazy? In an Oregon offense?
I'm not going to say he would not have success at Miami. I'm not going to say that. I definitely think he would have success. I'm just saying.
The 9-4 argument. I get that. But he was a quarter or like, was it a missed extra point away from beating fourth-ranked Washington in Washington last time I checked. Mario Cristobal has a pedigree. It's the way that, just like I told you guys that story about him at Miami Central, when the Florida recruit coach was down there, and he told them, "You get the out. This is our domain in Miami. You wait until we are done talking to these recruits, and then you come in." And I don't know too many people that's gonna stand up to a 6'6", 200. He might be 260, 279 that he done playing ball, and tell a man that, oh no, F you, I'm gonna go in here. He made the guy wait outside in a parking lot. Manny Diaz might do some of those same things. Manny Diaz might have a story like that. And I get that we're arguing something that's a dead horse, but if we look back 4 years from now and Oregon is back in the top 5 conversation and Miami is not, we're going to be right back in the same step, begging and wishing that a guy like who wanted this job, begged for this job, interviewed twice for this job, both in 2016, and he did a phone interview before we hired Manny Diaz, because they said Manny Diaz was the first call and the second call was Mario Cristobal. And Miami was even willing to do the $11 million buyout to bring on the lead coach. Wow. A lot of people don't know that. They were willing to do it because he is the coach to bring in right now.
I'm with you. I get. Here's what I'm saying. The pains that Miami has gone through with Rick and the position we are with Diaz now may possibly outpay what Cristobal coming in 4 years ago. We don't know that. We don't know that. But it might, is what I'm saying. So as painful as these past, they weren't all painful, but as the grain of salt that we had to deal with these past 3 years with Rick, I believe it was a necessary stepping stone that Cristobal may or may not have overcome, that he didn't have to overcome at Oregon. Okay, he did not. He came and got a program that was a pretty decent, like, brand name shape recruiting wise and all that. Taggart went and upgraded, I guess you could say, to FSU. But it was not it was not an awful situation that he got there. If Chris comes to Miami, it's a much more difficult thing to do, which is crazy to say. But that's just the place that the program in the state it became in. I mean, Oregon was competing for the national championship just a couple of years ago. Miami hasn't seen that in more than decades.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm saying the stepping stone that we have gone through with Rick and now Diaz being in place and how he's embracing Miami culture, we don't know yet. And I can't tell you that it will, but it may pay off more than Cristobal coming in so many years ago before did. Now, I can't prove that. That's just an opinion. But I'm saying what Cristobal has done isn't like built a Clemson in one day. Now, he's on the right track, and I really do, him to have a more than 10-win season at Oregon and have top 5 ending ranking by the end of the season. I expect him to keep building on that. But what Diaz is doing in his way, I don't know if Cristobal could have done that with what Rick had to do. I don't know that. And I'm saying, guys, we're in a good position with Manny Diaz, and one that could be as good, if not better, than Cristobal. But we don't know that yet, and we're gonna see. Chris, you have a beautiful living room there.
Jesus Christ, this is bad, and it's all on camera. Like you can play this back, like, oh, I want to rob Wholesome Holloway. Oh, I know exactly what's all in this house.
I will tell y'all the chat though. Peanut says if Manny fails, Cristobal will come.
Absolutely. He wants this job. He wants this job. I'm telling you.
So much that you'll say he'll take a pay cut?
He could.
There's not going to be a pay cut.
He can literally go. I don't know if you guys, like, I don't know if, think about it, like, if you guys, whatever, I don't know about you guys is, like, what you guys do for a job, but if someone said, like, let's say me at NDSU, if I'm a defensive line coach after GA, and defensive line assistant coordinator water boy job opens up at Miami, you best believe I'm applying. We could have just won 3 straight natties at NDSU. Heck, I could go to Arizona State and we just won the Pac-12. But it's something about coming home. It's something that you've seen done wrong for decades. And coming and fixing it and being the coach that fixed it.
Yeah.
And I personally think that Diaz can do it. And a lot of people may not like the Mario Cristobal conversation because a lot of people honestly say we're basically getting Al Golden 2.0.
Oh, no, I don't see it that way.
No.
I don't see it that way at all.
Whoa. Think about it. One-time head coach like he was at Temple, and then Mario Cristobal was at FIU. Now I'm just playing devil's advocate. And the great recruiting prowess that Al Golden had, averaging 7 in recruiting classes, all 4 years here. And Mario Cristobal doing the same thing, being a great recruiter. Now, the only difference is Mario Cristobal went and got shaped by Nick Saban and learning how to manage recruiting and coaching great talent and things of that nature, which is why we all agree Oregon will be good because he went and got shaped and molded and built up for, what was it, six years with Nick Saban, and was four out of those 6 years ranked the number 1 recruiter in the nation. You know, it's a lot to sway his way. And like I said, we have Diaz. Everyone on the phone right now is happy about Diaz. I'm not complaining about him at all because what he's done for this program, and I have to give a shout out to Wise, all about the UIs. He said something this morning that when I got a chance to watch his video on the way to work that really hit me. He said, dog, has anybody really thought about how Paradise Camps hasn't been since the first year we did it? And now Manny has recruits from all over Texas, Cali, Northern, South Florida, South Carolina, New Jersey, Massachusetts, like anybody who's anybody is gonna be there. And he's got the alumni to buy back in to come back.
Definitely.
This is the most
Absolutely.
that they're gonna have at Paradise Camp since when Mark Rick first brought it in.
Yeah.
As far it's gonna be crazy. And you know, all Canes fans, we're all gonna do videos on it. So make sure you go watch all of our videos. Brandon will be there. And you know, because we're gonna get a lot of commits. Be careful, don't get too excited. A lot of people gonna hop on the commit because it feels good, and you're putting on a double chain, and John Beeson and Michael Irvin are throwing up the U with you. You're gonna feel all excited, and we're gonna get crazy commits. Understand those same kids that commit to Miami right now could decommit within 2 or 3 months if we don't pull it all together, especially week 0 versus Florida.
If we get blown out by Florida, you're going to see about like 4 decommitments.
Yeah, because they're going to be in the position to be like, oh, I committed before the great season.
up.
I knew the momentum was going to happen. So when it does, they're like, oh, I'm the real deal. But when it doesn't, they bounce and they're good. Like, they go to, USC, Alabama, whatever the local top school is, whatever.
Time out before we go to the next conversation. Yo, we just had what's our running back's name? Lingard's goddamn 47. Lingard's cousin just committed to South Carolina like less than 2 hours ago. The safety or corner, whatever the guy's, I can't think of his name right now.
Yeah.
But he just committed to South Carolina. What is going on with South Carolina? And North Carolina infiltrating South Florida. Like, what is going on here?
Well, I have the answer for that. North Carolina, you got to understand who is the associate head coach at North Carolina. Do you guys know that, who he is? His name is Tim Brewster. He was the tight ends coach with Jimbo Fisher at Florida State.
He's at UNC?
He's at UNC. His boy is Luther Campbell. Luther Campbell is his boy.
Oh,
Literally.
shoot.
They're best friends. Luther Campbell goes on Twitter and said that Tim Brewster needs to be a candidate for the Miami job. He is at UNC right now with Mac Brown.
I'm not going to lie to you.
I want him. I want him for our wide receivers coach. Now.
I'm flabbergasted. First of all, I'm flabbergasted that you knew something that I didn't.
Okay.
Second of all, you knew something in the coaching realm that I didn't. That's blowing me right now. But hey, we live and learn from everyone, so you got me with that one. But Tim Brewster was a huge thorn in our behind when he was with those people in Tallahassee, because he was the main recruiter for South Florida.
Yeah.
He was the lead recruiter for Dalvin Cook. He was the lead recruiter for Freeman was a little late. That was more Jimbo. Also, I don't think enough people know this. I want y'all to open your ears, Canes fans. Devontae Freeman was so average coming out of high school. Do you know that he only had 2 other Division I offers, FIU and Minnesota? So when people say Miami didn't offer him and we were the only school that didn't offer him, he had no big boy offers. Jimbo Fisher just knew, let me put a thorn in Miami's ass right now and grab a kid who will give his heart for this school, especially when he plays Miami. And people love to go and grab a couple of South Florida kids out of Miami who were begging for that offer.
Oh, yeah.
Especially Pitt. Pitt comes and gets our some of our three-star guys that wanted that Miami offer. Louisville, Pitt, North Carolina, they go and grab those kids and hope and pray that Miami didn't offer them. It's gonna force them to do. I understand, Jay, what you're saying, that he wasn't average. What I'm saying is he made no national noise in recruiting. He had a lot of stats. I get that. But what I'm saying is people turn on the film, and yes, his film was nice. I went back and watched it, but they looked at him as 5'9", 5'8" at that time, 180 pounds or so, and they were just thinking that he couldn't play big-time college ball. And when you go back and listen to interviews, Randy Shannon said, I would love to offer him, but he's too little to play D1 ball. And that just made him work hard enough to play better against us. And, you know, with stuff like that, that's a hit or miss because he could sign with Florida State and never play. Or he could sign with Florida State and then only have one good game a year, and that's versus Miami, and that's literally what he did.
I'll tell y'all an interesting thought that I haven't been up to date with recruiting, to be honest, on the previous. Well, Rick a little bit more, but not Al Golden. I did not really follow it like hardcore and saw it like record everything. Um, did Diaz did an offer, and I need to pull it up to a wide receiver after the 7-7 camp that he had that no big schools like he said had offered, and he just saw him ball out, and he was like, "Here you go, Miami scholarship," and he committed. I'm gonna look him up right now.
Committed. That is it. 2021 class.
I'm gonna double check.
Oh yeah, you talking about the dude from Hialeah? Yeah, he's 2021. I've gotten to the point where I've stopped. Unless it's that year, I've had so many like letdowns with kids committing 2 or 3 years in advance, and
then that's not the. I didn't know he was 2021. I was under the impression he was a 2020 class, but now 2021 you don't know yet. Like he's still got 2 more years before.
Marcus Crowley, Akeem Dent. I mean, Akeem Dent was like our first commitment, and then he just goes.
And then he signs with a rival school. These kids have no respect, man. And at the end of the day, I can't tell another young man how to live his life. But if I decommit from an institution that I swear I love, it's the dream offer, and I can't wait to throw up the U and wear the chain and then go to a rival school.
Eford, that's what it was, yeah. Eford, for all those in the chat, is who I was looking at. But yeah, you're right, 2021 class.
It's like, I'm excited about Jake Garcia, but it's so far away. Like,
oh, yeah. By then, so much
I will say this much, though. That quarterback room would get pretty scary after a while.
Yeah.
Like Dan Enos' evaluation, and what I like about him is he's not scared to go after the 5-star, but what he says is, okay, we'll get that 3-star that fits my system right now, just in case that 5-star doesn't come in, so that we have somebody to fall back on that's still going to succeed at Miami.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about this.
All right, go ahead.
This is a question I wanted, and I'll play it into this one. There's going to be one quarterback that wins the starting job. What's going to happen in that locker room when the other ones lose it? There's 2 other guys that are going to lose it. How is that dynamic going to change, and how does that team, you'd like to see that team get on board with this one QB winning that conversation? Now, Holson put up his hand. I guess you're saying you're probably thinking Tate Martell package situation is what she's pulling up. I don't know. But...
Right, well, yeah, that's the only thing I'm thinking in my head. Is N'Kosi Perry as a starter, and then Tate Martell with that fantasy triple option thing we were talking about. And when you really honestly, dog, I was against it for a long time, thinking, oh, that's stupid. People are gonna know. But when you have a 5-star quarterback on your roster like that, use him. What's the worst that can happen if he comes in? Runs a triple option here every now and again. You see it was successful at Ohio State. What's the worst that could happen? And like I said, if the guy wins, then if he honestly wins the job, dog, that would be the greatest comeback in a QB race I have ever seen in my life. Because this guy, Paul, I want you guys to know this. He's a flip-flopper. Because this guy, Paul, said that he was playing on a walk-on level. So this guy goes from Rudy to Stephen Morris. Oh, yeah. Definitely the greatest comeback. And you think down 3-1, he was down 3-0 and came back and won 4-3. If he can win this battle, honestly.
One thing I want to say, if let's say Perry wins the job or Jaron Williams, right? I don't want to see Tate Martell in any packages. I just want one quarterback in at all times. I feel like packages kill a rhythm of an offense. If a guy's throwing lights out, if the offense is moving, why throw in someone else in there? I just want one quarterback in the whole game, and I think that's how you're going to develop someone more instead of just flip-flopping, using Martell in packages. And what if it's more successful some drives? I don't like it. I just want one quarterback in the whole game.
I'll tell you, Georgia had this kind of situation where they had Fromm and Fields. And Fields was basically a Martell with their packages, and they didn't use them enough, I think. They used them when it was too late. And I'll tell you when it's going to work. Only red zone, I think. I don't want to see him on the 50-yard line if we do that. I want him only in the red zone. And I only want him in the thing where, like, the defense is lining up, preparing to see other starter QB, and then they're like, wait, where's that jersey number? What's going on? Boom, busted coverage, boom, touchdown. Like, that's going to work, and I'm okay with that. I think that can happen, and it's got to be used. But if it doesn't work, don't be throwing him in on 3rd down and 9 and ask him to run 9 yards against this defense that was playing good. And that's what Georgia did with Fields. Like, oh my gosh. Georgia misused Fields so much. And
okay, so let me ask you this. We can sit here and make a great argument for, because as we sit here and think about it, as I go back and rewatch that Ohio State film, as I go back and watch his high school film, and I see that if he's in the right system, he could be a Heisman candidate type.
Yeah.
Quarterback. He's definitely a college quarterback.
Sure.
Right.
And he put his head down. He took in all the hate from us fans and really came out and showed that he has some intestinal fortitude in that spring game. It wasn't great. He didn't go out and light the world on fire. He still has some inaccurate passes from in the pocket. But it meant something for me to watch him do that and take all of what we're saying and then turn it out into a good showing in the spring game.
He had a good spring game.
So my question is, how could it really be thrown off a rhythm and not be viewed as rewarding this young man for maybe falling short of being better than the Coach Perry and a pass-happy offense? He can come in and run a wildcat. He can come in and do some nice plays, especially in the red zone where the field is shorter and you get a defense going one way, and he comes up under on a triple option pitch or something like that. It would be, to me, especially the way our schedule sets up for the first 5 weeks, it would be nice to see him out there getting some plays against a quality team. Like, I think North Carolina could easily be a blowout if we come and roundhouse him in the mouth first round.
Yeah.
And it would be beautiful to see him skating down the sideline against UNC on a big QB option, and nobody stands with him and he takes off. Especially because if a defense gets used to a somewhat mobile quarterback like Perry, and then a mobile quarterback like Tate Martell comes in, they're gonna really be focused in on that option. And Cam Harris could break for 80. DJ could break for 80, or they may slam it against that run and really take it up the field. In a pinch. Honestly, in a pinch.
Why I feel like everyone's kind of counted out Jaron?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess it's our low line, though. My thing is,
wrong?
I love my boy. This is why. It is not Jaron's fault. Really. Okay, he didn't do well in the spring game, so that's his fault. It's on him. But he did not do well because of our O-line. That O-line, he needs to have this O-line but I know, any quarterback with a great O-line is going to be good. But that boy can pass the ball better than any other quarterback. He can pass the ball better than any quarterback. He can. He's
Amon Richards did say that as well.
He's the best passer. He throws that boy. Them wide receivers love catching balls from Jaron. Every single wide receiver specifically said that. All right, but it's just with this O-line and the system. I don't know. I don't know because he's the other thing. He hasn't played a single meaningful snap in college ball. Tate, you can make that debate too, but I mean, he did do a whole drive for the Rutgers, whatever. Tate was a little bit more of a, I mean, he's got that TV show and thing going for him. He's a transfer, so he's got buzz going around him. If Jaron had come in his freshman year right now, I think it'd be different too. I think it'd be like, oh, what about this wild card Jaron? We've kind of forgotten about him. We've been focused so much on Perry and stuff. It's just, I think it's the O-line, really, that's holding him back. You have to have a mobile quarterback no matter what this year is what it seems like where our O-line is, and that's taking him down. I feel like he will have the most success versus any of the other quarterbacks passing the ball if they have a solid line, but, like, mobility-wise, you just don't have it.
He just turned around. Oh. Hey, all right. I want to hear what Olsen has to say.
Hate my boy Jaren.
I want to hear what's
On my
going
boy
on.
Jaren.
Oh my god. Okay. Actually, let me preface my statements by saying this and not be emotional, because I think the issue that we get of people not respecting our show is they feel like we are joking and having, we don't come with enough knowledge. So I'll be serious and respectful. All three of these quarterbacks have a true chance in winning this. Jalen Williams' accuracy, his touch is the best out of the three quarterbacks. To our knowledge of not being able to be at practices. There are some practices we're able to see, and I'll preface this by saying this also. He had to deal with second and third string players on offense, second and third string offensive lines. He rarely got to run with the ones. Okay. If we want to see Brad Kaya again with a subpar pass blocking offensive line, Jaron Williams could be that guy. If that's what you guys want to watch.
I don't want to watch that.
If you guys want to honestly watch, if you want to see, and this is weird because me and Paul talked about this, and like, I'm not going to pick Ja'Cory Harris because for
He's
obvious
not Corey
reasons.
Harris.
But if you want like a Stephen Morris type quarterback, N'Kosi Perry is your guy.
Not injured Stephen Morris.
Yeah, non-injured
Yeah.
Stephen Morris, because I think now Stephen Morris could flick the ball 42 yards with no problem, and a full cannon could probably be 60, but
Yeah.
Kosie's very close to that as far as arm strength. And the issue with Stephen Morris was his accuracy problems, and that's probably the same things we'll see with N'Kosi Perry. So, and with Tate Martell, it's kind of a mixture. People want to say Johnny Manziel.
I say
Okay,
Pat
but
White.
okay, people want to say Pat White. My personal comp would be kind of like a poor man's Baker Mayfield. As far as
Mayfield is an
like
excellent passer.
right, but everybody looks good in that Oklahoma offense.
They do.
He's starting with the
No.
Browns, though. I mean, it's not like some people have
Right.
the fallback. He is
Right,
starting
yeah,
with the
you
Browns.
have a point, but if you look at their system, they did something similar to what he did at Oklahoma, and I promise you, Baker Mayfield will struggle this year because
Ooh.
defenses know what he likes to do. Personally,
Even with the new
But-
weapons, but we're gonna not talk about that.
right. I mean, what I mean by struggle is they're still going to put up numbers, but it won't be as dynamic as what people think. Because what he will do is really quick game, because he has so much talent around him. All he has to do is really just get the ball in their hands.
Right.
And to me personally, the safe, if you gave me safe, okay option, and solid option, safe option would be N'Kosi Perry. Okay option would be Jaron Williams. And your wild card would be Tate Martell.
Yeah, I agree.
I think nothing against Perry and all that, and I've heard people say that Perry has the highest ceiling with his athleticism, but I feel like
absolutely, he has the highest ceiling of all three of these quarterbacks. That's no question. If you tell me his issue is accuracy, and then you bring in a guy who's shown that the percentage of all his quarterbacks goes up from 17 to maybe even 23 percentile, and you put him in with Dan Enos, you might be having a conversation and people are going to go back and play this, and I don't care. We could be talking Trevor Lawrence numbers.
I can see 30 touchdowns. Yeah.
I think
because if you look at the star system of our wide receiver core, it's maybe not this year Clemson, because Clemson got like 8 5-stars, but it'll be very similar.
Something that I am scared about is just the offensive line just collapsing when the play starts. Just complete miscommunication. But
bro, y'all think these coaches don't get paid? Y'all think these guys don't play football? No, they are getting scrutinized like none other. Which is why we went to the NFL to bring down an offensive line coach. I'm not worried about O-line, honestly.
All right.
You know what I'm worried about is us being able to truly handle a SEC front and an
Right.
SEC coach defense. But as far as ACC play, I'm not worried, man. They might average 2 or 3 sacks per game, but dog, I understand. You know, you turn on the film and you go, Jesus Christ, that was a 4-star. But you got to remember, they were playing with a Crayola playbook. It wasn't even in black and white. It was in crayon.
Crayola. I love that. Crayola
Come
playbook.
on, like,
Wholesome.
and that's no shot at you, Paul. I don't want you to think I'm coming at you, but that's more for the people in the chat. Like, dog, these coaches get paid millions of dollars too. These players get pissed off when they turn on film too. I know how it feels to have a subpar offensive line. My
It,
junior year at American High, and then our senior year, we were ranked the top 20 offensive line in Dade County because we were pissed off that people were just like, the O line sucks. Like, you know, eventually you're gonna get right.
remember depth. Tommy Kennedy, George Brown, Zach Dykstra, they're not ACC level.
Right now, Paul, right now they may not be, but that's where you get your player development at. And
George
I
Brown.
get where you're coming from. You have a valid point in what you're saying. And I respect it. But I'm saying with a great professional offensive line coach, you never know what his development can do for a
All right.
swing guard, swing tackle, and small amount of play time. That's what I'm saying.
Let's
They're
see
not
what
going to come
happens.
in and start, but they're going to come in. They might come in, you know, every now and again and contribute a little.
And I'll tell you the other thing that is different, which I'm with you, like, it's not proven yet, but in this offseason and the first 5 weeks, other than Florida Gators, like the first 5 weeks schedule, we have some time to get into our rhythm and shape. Other than the Gators, obviously, it's going to be like boom in your face, SEC opponent. But the strength and conditioning coach, being strong, you're less injury prone when you're in correct shape. And I don't think our O linemen were in the best of shape with the prior staffs as they are now. And that's including your second string guys. So by week 5 of the season, your second string guys are hopefully getting something in more of a rhythm and seeing the first team offense of how it's supposed to be done against maybe ACC opponents, to where if one injury or two happens, we won't be in a chaos position. That's why I'm. Because of our schedule is my thing. Other than the Gators being slapped week 1, I feel like our O line will be able to get into that communication and rhythm. And even if injuries hit, I mean, if we get 2 or 3 guys down, I don't know. But if we get one guy in, I feel like we can get a solution going on that's going to be pretty seamless and good enough to get wins and functional offense against ACC opponents.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the tough part about offensive line gauging their shape and build is being a big man my whole life. Like, you can carry 285 differently based on height, weight, based on your height and how your genetics are. We've seen our offensive line, like, honestly, Casey McDermott under Al Golden looked 10 times worse than Casey McDermott under Mark Richt.
Yeah.
Then you look at Donaldson under Mark Richt, and now Donaldson right now, dude looks like he can go out there and truly play tackle as far as physique.
Night and day.
He may not have the feet for it, but dog, their physiques have changed on a whole different level, man. And to hear players tweet and talk about how DJ Dallas going from 225 to 185 in 2 months, knows that was bad. That's bad weight that was put on him.
Yeah.
Because nothing built properly is gonna fall off you that easy.
Right.
And guys like Cleveland Reed. I don't know if you guys seen any pictures of Cleveland Reed recently, but his body recomposition is that like David Feely. People want to say Dan Enos might have been the best hire, the biggest hire, but David Feely has to be the most important hire on our staff.
MVP. I'm with you there. I'm with you.
Besides Swayze, I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing back Coach Swayze, but I mean, you got to get modern. And you got to start to to look at things from a newer way of life, as
I'm
opposed to keep
excited
going
though.
back to the way.
I'm excited to see guys on the field not start being gassed and fainted, and for even the sport commentators to be like, man, this guy's looking winded or whatever, Miami side. I'm excited to stop hearing that anymore and hearing guys come out with a different passion and look on their physique without that Al Golden era mentality. Or Rick, honestly. Rick was kind of like a. He was. I'm just glad not to hear or see that again. I don't think we are going to.
The stories of Gus Felder coming late to his own workouts, um, not having a passion, kids asking for private workouts in between classes, and him not letting them in the weight room. So it hurts me to honestly hear stories because you never know what those reps, what that private workout could have done for that player.
Mm-hmm.
What that extra snap could have done with them lifting together, them getting a
Yes.
little stronger. Every push up matters. Every bench press, every rep, every linebacker read step. All of those things matter. And when you're deterring a player from trying to become great, oh, that's tough to really think about, man. And it hurts me as a coach to really sit and think of that a guy was truly doing that to players.
All right, y'all. I had one question, a little bit different. We slightly touched on it, unless if y'all have other ones y'all want to pull up.
I want to hear yours, Anton.
So my thought was, and I'm looking at programs and all of that, and we said we paid money for Diaz to come over. We had that buyout, and we mentioned Touch that I didn't know this. I didn't know that it was for real. That for Cristobal, we were willing to put down our $11 million on him. I didn't know that, but I will say the other school, there are richer, better, well-to-do schools that have more invested football
Right.
programs have an edge. How marginal is that edge compared to other schools that don't invest as much in their football program? And is Miami following that path correctly, or are we still not quite there? Are we going to see that? And that's the thought that I wanted to hear from you guys. I was curious to see what the chat says and all that. Holson had his hand up. Go for it, man.
Can you read? I got a text message like mid question.
Oh,
Can
you
you
good?
please restate that question for me?
Sure, no problem. So I was looking at the top programs, and literally, if you look at the top programs ranked and all that, with how much money they invest into their football program, it's the same deal. And obviously, college athletes don't get paid and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
does how much? Clearly, there's a margin of that you have over other programs when you invest more money in your college program for football.
Mm-hmm.
How big is that margin? Is it huge? Is it going to change you? Is it going to change wins on your schedule to like 2 or 3 more wins if you invest this more money? And is Miami starting to follow that path? Are we doing it all the way, or are we like kind of doing it, not quite there? Your thoughts on that? Just money as it has to do for a program to invest in their football, program.
Okay, so I can speak personally, seeing the renovations at North Dakota State happen. I want everyone to understand that geographically, you can really cut half of the programs from the north and the south as to this conversation of indoor practice facility. Okay, legally, players can't be outside practicing in certain weather. Okay, so teams would much rather anything probably past Kansas. They probably have to legally make sure that they have an indoor practice facility for the players to continue to practice in. So let's get that understood. Okay, now is when you get to the point of seeing the Miami Hurricanes having to do a pro day out in the rain, and Kansas has a $10 million indoor practice facility. Now you kind of start to get a little angry about where the money is going when it comes to the University of Miami program. Okay, but also got to think we, for some odd reason, in my opinion, we're putting money in other things instead of into our coaching staff so that Al Golden was able to surround himself with better coaches. Number one, Al Golden had one of the cheapest coaching staffs put together. That's why it was so bad. Randy Shannon had even worse. He had maybe $1.1 million for staff.
Yes.
Now mind you, that's 2009, and that's
Right.
over a decade ago. And you don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but I just wanted people to understand that Coach Randy Shannon had one of the lowest um, amount of money to build his staff with, probably in major Power Five football history. Okay, um, but when it comes to alumni putting money into a program at a place like the University of Miami, they tend to only want to give, and this is to the big eyes. We don't know how our alumni are truly paying, uh, you know, behind closed doors. But things cost different to build at the University of Miami than they do in other institutions. And when you're a 20,000 student institution with a couple thousand graduating every year, it's going to take you a lot of years to reach up to an 80,000 student Ohio State institution, a 90,000 Michigan state institution, as far as bringing in alumni who make enough money to give back to your program. So it took us a while to come up with the funds, because in Miami we want something high class. Don't you think Miami could have easily built a bubble stadium just like the Dolphins have for their practice facility if we wanted to go cheap? Yeah, but Miami wanted to make sure that it was quality and it was done right. So the money gap is a problem, but it's only an issue anything with us being a small private school as opposed to us being a state-funded institution like your Tennessee. They're in the SEC. Anything in the SEC, the conversation is really up. Like all of them, Vanderbilt Commodores have a better facilities than us, and they suck. They're an engineering science institution,
Right.
but they have southeastern money. They literally get for just playing Bama and losing by 60 a couple $1 million just to line it up because they're an SEC school and they're on CBS. So the revenue and the money that's coming in, it has a lot to do with us being on primetime TV, us having wins, and us truly showing up.
Okay, Paul, your thoughts?
Some of the reasons, I'd say one of the main reasons why schools were out recruiting us, beating us at all levels, why we were so behind to the Florida States, to the Alabamas, to the Floridas, and why we saw them have so much success and schools blow past us in this new modern age of college football was because our facilities were so behind that when recruits would get there, they would be like, this is it. You have no indoor practice facility. All our practices were outside. It would pour rain during the summertime or during the fall, and we would go have to practice in a basketball court. That is pathetic for a school that has 5 national titles and is considered NFLU. Our Dolphin Stadium, or whatever it's called now, Hard Rock, Joe Robbie, whatever the heck you want to call it. When Al Golden was coached before the renovations, it was hideous. It looked so empty. It was embarrassing to take a recruit on an official visit or just visiting to see against like a North Carolina, an NC State, whoever. And to see an empty stadium, when we were losing 50 to Clemson, when the game even started, it wasn't even packed. It was half empty. I was there. I was sitting upper deck, and nobody was even near me, my friend. We were so behind, and now we're catching up. We have a very nice indoor practice facility. The University of Miami is making very nice renovations in their student housing as well.
Yeah, the
There's
dormers
more
are
money
gonna be
being
nice.
funded into the program. The next step is when our lease ends and we can build our own stadium. That is the next step for the University of Miami.
Oh. Paul, I'm gonna tell you my thing, and I know you wanted this a stadium. I'm gonna tell you, I live in Georgia, and I've seen a different kind of program, but a similar situation.
Okay.
We have this giant, amazing stadium called the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Right.
Beautiful thing, just gorgeous. Been in it a whole bunch of times. Got in the sweet seats, got in the regular ones. And I have been there when it's been packed with 76,000 people, record fans for Atlanta United soccer games. That atmosphere for sports I have never experienced at all. I will
Okay.
tell you that. Now, I was not able to attend the Miami Hard Rock Stadium game against Notre Dame, but as it was televised, it looked exactly as what I felt at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, packed with people screaming, going off against Atlanta United. That atmosphere to be replicated by a privately or funded university, it there's that money. That's huge money. That Mercedes-Benz project is billions of dollars. It's just impossible. But we can have that right now with Hard Rock Stadium.
Anton, I'm not talking about that kind of money. What we had at the Orange Bowl, I had season tickets there since, I don't even remember, since I was like a little 3-year-old, 4-year-old.
Sure.
That atmosphere created a 58-game home winning streak and created the undefeated season for the 1972 Dolphins. That was the most hostile college football stadium that any team has ever been to. Compared to the Big House, Ohio State, wherever you want to. The old Orange Bowl was the most hostile environment going in for a visiting team. All we need is a 40, 50K stadium, okay? That's it. That we can sell out every game. We don't need an 80, 90K huge renovation. We just need a stadium that fits a small private school that people can sell out every game and create a hostile environment. That's all we need.
Point against like having a packed stadium and that being a difference of how hostile it is. But let me tell you, Miami is a party city. And Miami shows up when the event is there. We showed up for the event, that happened. Why not keep leasing the stadium and pack it with even more people if we bring them the event consistently? Like, I'm asking you on an honest basis, would you, if you know that Hard Rock Stadium is going to be packed out, would you rather keep it or would you rather go private?
Why have the Dolphins and Miami Hurricanes haven't had success since leaving the Orange Bowl? Exactly.
I think that's coincidence. I think that's just the time and era.
I think it has to do with the stadium. I think everything has to do with the stadium. I think a 9-3 team goes 11-1 playing at the Orange Bowl. 58 home game win streak. That says something about the Orange Bowl. The undefeated Dolphins, the only undefeated NFL team. That says something about the stadium you play in. I truly do believe that the Orange Bowl had something to do with the success of the Dolphins and the Hurricanes for so long. And moving was a big mistake. Now, the renovations at Hard Rock Stadium, I do like a lot. It is loud, no doubt about it. When you sell it out, it is a loud stadium. But I would just like something smaller. Doesn't have to be big budget. Just sells out every game. That's all I'm asking.
I agree. Like, atmosphere can win you games and energize a program in ways that it's hard to, materialize and explain. And recruits and all of that.
Too.
Yeah.
For recruits too.
And
Sony Michel didn't want to go to Miami because of the game environment, the game day environment. But Sony Michel was playing with the Patriots.
But I love what I saw with Hard Rock, and I feel what you say with Orange Bowl, but and I'm not against building another stadium, but I'm like, well, I think what we have at Hard Rock isn't bad. Is my thought. Wholesome, you being quiet here. You just like stadium, this and that. Back in North Dakota.
The good part about this conversation means that we all understand that a great home field advantage in college football matters. And if I think Paul would feel different if Hard Rock Stadium, every game, no matter who we was playing, was 80 to 90% full every game. And it would be,
Cutting you out, Wholesome. We lost him. He's about to take down the house with his points. All right, hold on. I think we hear you now. Yeah, we good.
Oh,
yeah.
Hello. Okay. Continuously building a 10-win season year in and year out will bring fans to the stadium. Okay. The question that I will have for Paul before I go on my soliloquy response is, You already answered how big the stadium is. I would like to ask where you would like to locate this stadium. How would you like the stadium to be built? Would it be just like the Orange Bowl with the opening and stand for primetime games? Would you like it to have a dome and things of that nature? And where the University of Miami could fight for this after being subpar in football for the last couple of decades, last decades.
How they will afford it is winning the your bowl games, which have a huge payout. If you guys, if anyone didn't know in the chat or live stream, winning a BCS bowl game like the Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, or a national title, that's where the money, the funding really comes in. Is winning your bowl game, winning the ACC championship. That's where your funding comes in, and then you get boosters and stuff. The whole scheme. So that's where your funding will come from your boosters and winning your bowl games. Now, you can use Tropical Park, which already has a setup for a stadium. You can use it and build it up. It has parking. There's also Homestead, which has tons of land. There's land everywhere. It's not too far. I mean, Miami Gardens is pretty far from the University of Miami. It's easier for people who live there and in Broward County, but that's probably the two locations. I know that David Beckham is building a soccer stadium. Or you can kick the Marlins out if they keep losing every year, which is bound to happen. So those are some options right there. And the way I would set it up is kind of like just a little bit bigger than FIU's. Just something simple and just it fits 50K, just bigger than FIU Stadium. That's how I see it. Kind of shaped as a U, like a horseshoe or.
So.
Okay.
And then build off of it in the future as years go on. Renovations here, renovations there.
To add to your go ahead.
That's all I got.
To add to your point, he's true. Like financially speaking, believe it or not, Miami is one of the most profitable football programs in Miami. Now, when we say profitable, it means what you've invested in your expenses and then what you had as a profit and gain above that is this much, was one of the most profitable ones with such a low, just anything on the field of like us not doing and winning, and then the stadiums you seeing empty. We just didn't invest a lot in the program, so our profits, like compared to other schools, were actually like one of the top margins. It's kind of crazy, in the top 10. I couldn't believe it when I saw it, but it's just we didn't invest that much. So the money can be there, as you're saying. Like you said, if we start winning and if we pack out stadiums, we can maybe pay it off. We can maybe find land. If you have money, you're going to find land. Now, it's going to add just how much. Because, look at from Google Earth at just Florida. It's going to be great because it's all solid concrete. The whole place, basically. But you can buy someone else's, like you're saying, and change it what you need. I'm with you. My argument of why I don't want a stadium, as you're saying, is because I'm saying, man, the way that things I want to go is D is being successful so that the party event is there and Hard Rock is sold at 90K. Why downgrade to a stadium that's 50K minimum and then we're successful and then we're like, well, shoot, how do we pack all the rest of these people, all these profits that we're losing? I just feel like Hard Rock has a bigger ceiling and potential we could fill up to, and I think we could fill it up. Like, I think it'd be so cool and unique to where, we use a NFL stadium size thing and we pack it up every year, and it's an edge over. I went to UGA campus, like they have a stadium that's big and all that, but man, Hard Rock with how it is a pretty impressive setup if it's packed. If it's packed, I'm with you though. If it's not packed, sure, go to a smaller stadium. But Hard Rock packed, man, it's great. It's amazing.
I wouldn't want to become FAU as far as like, because I guess that's what I'm picturing in my head as like a modern 50s, because that's what it is, a 50,000 modern stadium. It looks really nice, but at Hard Rock Stadium, I think is something to really build on. I mean, how many games did we lose at home this year? One?
Duke. I can't. I don't
You
know.
get what I'm saying? Like, why would we want to change something that's working? I get it. You want your own stadium. You want to have pride in that stadium. We might even call it something like Category 5 or um, I don't know what we would call it. What would be our nickname? Death Kane or something. I don't know. Baby Orange B. I don't know. But at the end of the day, we have a great stadium right now that
All right.
we've lost a total of 2 games in the last 2 seasons. Three, if you count the Orange Bowl against Wisconsin. If it
Right.
ain't
Right.
broke, don't fix it is a very simple mindset. And we all know, we've all said it. If Miami wins, they come. Especially if you can avoid the heat and have it as a 3:30 kickoff or 8 p.m. game, it becomes the UNC sucked, and it was still a really really nice crowd, maybe like 78 to 82%. But because it was a Thursday night game, we were there. If we have more night games, which means we're winning so that they put us on prime time, Miami will be just fine at Hard Rock Stadium. And we could truly. Um, Now, the beautiful part of this could be if we continue to win there, the Dolphins don't do so well. They go build another stadium for them, and we get to inherit Hard Rock Stadium as our own.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I
Uh,
hear you, but you could say the same
yeah,
thing
I don't.
about the Orange Bowl.
No, the Dolphins own like Hard Rocks. They have the rights to Hard Rocks. They're not going anywhere. the
Right, yeah. I
Hurricanes
mean,
are
like
the
I
ones that
said.
they got the lease. The Hurricanes are doing the lease agreement. It's not like the
Right,
Dolphins are. So
right.
we would never get Hard Rock Stadium to ourselves. That yeah, I don't see that ever
I
happening.
wouldn't do that investment. I'm with you. In that case, if you're like throwing down all this money, I'd build your own. You're right. Make it how
I
you
would
need it
say
functional.
that yeah, I would say future we would be the ones with our own stadium. Realistically, it would never be the Dolphins. Just future realistically.
Just the location
But
is not so prime for
but
us.
And then
but
you also want to take something to Homestead, which is almost as south as you can get and still be Dade County. That you talk about travel and attendance, that would be horrific
a lot of
to take
people,
them to
Miami
Homestead.
Gardens. Hey, I used to live in Coral Gables. Miami Gardens is a hike for me. I get it's closer to Broward County. You got the Miami Gardens everywhere, but I think it's gonna hurt someone geographically, regardless. Also, I mean,
Yeah,
Miami's got to win.
you
We got
have
to win to fill it out. That's our main pool. We got to win.
that's
So
the
that's a lot of pressure on
conversation.
winning.
Yeah, you got to get the W's.
That's
Gotta get
kind
the
of like
W's.
every conversation for every recruiting and winning's the secret.
It fixes everything. I mean, heck, if anybody's ever been on a team with a winning streak, you guys might hate each other, but if y'all winning 5 games, boy, I love you.
Boy, I love you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
So I don't think we got a chance to get to everything that we want to talk about, but I think the show flowed beautifully. And
Definitely, man. I had a
it was,
blast.
and
I had a great
and the
time.
Diaz conversation, that was a great, informative conversation, and we truly appreciate everyone who's able to hop on here and watch us. We're all adults, so we may not be able to upload as much. We all got our own jobs, but this is also something that we truly care about and really love to do for you all. So thank you all to everyone who was able to tune in, and as we always say, go Canes, baby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I will tell
Okay.
y'all before we head out next week, Thursday, we should be on at 8 p.m. We'll make sure we let you know. If we're not, it'll be on Wholesome's channels where you see it live. We're switching it out, making sure we're getting everyone from our audience up to date. So appreciate all y'all tuning in. At the end of the day, guys, we know always all about the you.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.